Today we're installing an automatic transmission cooler on a Prado 150. We're going to be using a KAON transmission cooler kit. They come with a set of nice stainless steel brackets, an Australian-made Davies Craig cooler kit. Comes with a bit of hose, but the kit also comes with the extra hose you need to complete the installation. First thing to do is to remove the plastic splash cover. Just press the little grommets in and take them out. Next thing to do is to remove this front grille so we have access to the area in front of the radiator where the cooler will sit. We've removed the grille now. We've got good access to where we want to install the cooler. Next thing to do is to remove the horns. We now want to get the cooler ready to be installed, so get your brackets out and also your cooler kit. So you now want to attach the cooler to the brackets before we put it in the car. You want to attach the cooler on the front of the brackets, and the bottom bracket is offset to one side, so just make sure you get the orientation right. So that's what it should look like once you've got the brackets installed. Now we can install it in the vehicle. So on the bottom cross member there of the radiator support, there's an M6 captive nut. Just locate it there because the M6 bolt attaches the bracket to that point there. So you'll have your oil cooler with brackets installed already. Position it in the car there. And the easiest thing to do is to actually attach the M6 bolt to the bottom bracket first. Reinstall the horns using the original bolts. Just place them over the top of the brackets and tighten. We now want to run the hose for the cooler. So just a little tip, you'll get some hose, but if you actually put some bolts in there just to block them off, that'll stop you from getting dirt and dust inside there while we're routing it. Attach one end of the hose to the top of the oil cooler and secure with the hose clamp. And we'll just run the hose across the top there, and this will attach to the top of the radiator. Connect the other side of the oil cooler to the hose and use a hose clamp to secure it in place. We want to run this hose up behind that cross member and across to the side of the radiator. This will actually go all the way down to the bottom. Secure the hoses with some cable ties so they sit neatly under the cross member. Make sure the hoses aren't rubbing on any sharp edges. This way we can get the correct lengths that we need to cut these to. The shorter hose will connect to the top outlet on the radiator there. And if you follow the original hose all the way down, follow it back to the metal hose that goes into the transmission. This is where the longer hose from the cooler will connect to. So just run it down there and check that the length is correct. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll fill the cooler lines and the cooler with transmission oil. So we now want to fill the hoses and the cooler with some transmission oil before we plumb it up to the vehicle. It takes about 300 ml. I'm using a Penrite transmission equivalent transmission oil. The nozzle actually fits into the top quite nicely, and all we do is we fill the hoses until we see the oil come out the other end. So you can now see that the oil's come out the other end now. So our transmission and our hoses are full. Just plug them off. This will make installing a lot easier. So we want to install this top hose first. Make sure you put a hose clamp on. and this is actually going to go onto that top hose tail. So first thing we need to do is remove the Toyota pipe. So now you've connected the top line, you want to follow the original Toyota one down to the transmission. Run the other oil cooler hose from the cooler down next to it, and we'll hop in under the car and then hook it up. So it's all plumbed up now. You can see the new hose on the top there attached to the metal pipe that goes back to the transmission. So you want to start up your car now and just check for some leaks?
Yeah.
Check for any leaks, where all the hose connectors are, and where you've connected up, back up here at the radiator and down the bottom as well. So replace the grill, and then last thing to do is to just put the splash cover back. What you'll find is with this cooler installed, you should get a reduction of about 20 to 30 degrees in your automatic transmission fluid temperature. And also it will help keep your motor a bit cooler as well, because it takes the load off the internal cooler inside your radiator, so your actual engine doesn't have to work so hard trying to cool down the transmission fluid. So there you go. That's how you install an automatic transmission fluid cooler in a Prado 150.